In this video, I'm going to take you through the entire process of my first team animation project, creating a 2D animation short film. From the initial idea and character design to storyboarding and animatic, rough animation and final scenes, I'll show you exactly how we brought this project to life. Remember, this is our first animation project, so if you got any advice or tips, just drop it down in the comments. The name of our animation is called The Procrastinator. We wanted the story to be something that people could relate to because let's be real, who doesn't procrastinate? Right? As for the team, there were 4 of us: Melanie, Deneen, Shaina, and myself. We used a lot of tools for this project. PowerPoint was used for the mood board, production document, and organizing our workflow. Procreate was used for the background, whilst Procreate Dreams was used for the animation itself. We used DaVinci Resolve to assemble the animated scenes, edit, and add sound effects. Clip Studio Paint was used for character design, and of course, we relied on traditional tools like pencil and paper for sketches, planning, and developing ideas. So every animation starts with an idea. Before creating anything, we spent time discussing different themes, concepts, and story possibilities. We started with artist frustration. Deneen and Melanie drew some concept art and made a mood board for us to have a better idea for the story. After a while, we ended up going from artist frustration to artist procrastination. After exploring multiple ideas, we just ended up going with that concept. Once that idea was chosen, we began planning the film. With the main concept decided, we began working on the story. We focused on creating a clear beginning, middle, and end, whilst making sure that the story could be told visually through animation. I was responsible for creating the final character design for the project. Before I started designing, I created a mood board for my team to look at. Once the mood board was approved, everyone created their own character sketches based on the references and ideas from the board. Since I was responsible for the final character design, I took inspirations from everyone's sketches and combined different parts to create the first draft of the character. Looking back, I really liked the idea for the first design, and you can probably tell where some of the inspiration came from. But after discussing it as a group, we felt like the outfit didn't fully fit the story or the personality of the character, because the animation revolves around procrastination and someone struggling to get out of bed. I decided to redesign the outfit to look more casual and comfortable, as if the character had just woken up. One feature that we all agreed was important to the character was the hair. I created several different hair variations and presented it to my group so they could choose their favorite. Personally, I preferred the white hair version, but the group ultimately decided the black hair version, which became the final character design used throughout the whole animation. Once the design was approved, I created a character turnaround sheet to help maintain consistency during the production. I could have worked better on that character design sheet, but we live and we learn. Once the character design was completed, we moved on to the storyboarding stage. The storyboards were created by Melanie and Deneen, who did a great job translating our story idea into a visual sequence of shots. Melanie was responsible for the first 2 pages of the storyboard, Deneen created the next 2, and Melanie then completed the final page. Even though the workflow was split, they managed to keep the storyboard consistent and match the original concept. After we finished with the storyboard, we moved on to the animatic. Just in case some don't know what an animatic is, an animatic is a rough version of an animation created by arranging the storyboard panels into a sequence and adding timing, sound, dialogue, and basic camera movement. It is used to test the pacing, storytelling, and overall workflow of the project before the final animation is produced. I assembled the shots from the storyboard and put them on a timeline and added sound effects. At this stage, we could identify the scenes that felt too short, too long, or needed adjustments. For the environment and background design, the work was led by Melanie. She put together a mood board to gather inspiration and establish the overall look and feel of the environment, considering where objects should be placed and how the space would function within the animation. This planning stage was important because the environment played a key role in supporting the story and making the scenes feel believable and stand out. Once the environment design was finished, Melanie moved on to creating the backgrounds used throughout the animation. She produced all the background artwork needed for the project, helping to bring the world of the Procrastinator to life. Throughout this whole project, we also worked on some rough animation for practice. Shaina worked on the document management, making sure that all the work that was provided to the group was organized. She also worked on the rough draft of the animatic. Deneen designed the art supplies that would play a big part in the final animation, and Melanie making sure that the production schedule was always up to date. Finally, it was time to animate the film. To make the workflow more manageable, we split the animation into 3 sections. I animated the first part of the story, Deneen animated the second section, and Melanie animated the final part. This way it worked well with time management and it fit naturally with the structure of the story. Even though we all have slightly different art styles, I think it actually helped with the animation, as each section felt unique while still contributing to the overall story. Once all the animation was completed, I imported every scene into DaVinci Resolve and assembled everything into one single timeline. From there, I began putting the film together by adding transitions, cuts, sound effects, and making sure everything flowed smoothly from one scene to the next. Shaina and I were responsible for recording and editing the dialogue. One challenge that I faced during the stage was I wasn't in my normal setup. I was actually in my home country on holiday. enjoying. Instead of using a normal recording setup, I recorded my voice on my iPhone and then airdropped the recordings to my MacBook. After that, I used Logic Pro to clean up and import the audio quality before importing it into DaVinci Resolve and adding it to the timeline. The final piece of the project was the title card, which was created by Melanie. Once it was finished, I added it to the project along with all the other assets and final touches. And then after bringing everything together, we ended up with
We can help you, but you have to listen to us.
You could have just charged me.
He is useless.
You spilled water on me.